Hello, hello, hello. How are you all? My name's Jared Bernard and welcome to Robin's Hood. Today I've got this is an interesting one. This one, it surprises me every time I feel the need to talk about it, every time it comes up because it feels like it's something we should be past by now. But I guess there's reassuring or reoccurring evidence every day as to why we're not. And we've flipped our language around a lot, I think, in over history, and there's some value in doing that. Like as a species, I think for any species, it's really incredibly valuable to allow your language to evolve and create space for it to define things in a new way, and to understand how it failed to define things in the past. So all those things have a huge value. But there are some things that are happening like this one's particular in the gaming community, and I've noticed it for a while. The first ones that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about the words gay and fag or faggot, and it's particularly people using these words in a way of negativity, like they lost in some way and they call someone a fag or they call someone gay. Something bad happened in their game, and they're like, "Oh, that's so gay." Like it just baffles me. Like I get it. I get what is it? Their argument, right? The most common argument I get from people is that's not how I grew up with it. Right? It's not what I grew up with that word meaning something lame, something that sucked, something awful, and it didn't have a relationship to any person's sexuality. And I think people forget that that's literally an argument of ignorance, right? You're declaring that my ignorance of what this word means to the world and its true definition is more valuable than the definition of the word and how it negatively impacts a whole culture of people, right? Like that's to me, it's literally the definition as to why you should change your behavior. Oh, you didn't know that that's how it's seen? Well, that's ignorance. You were ignorant. Now you're not. Now you're choosing not to be compassionate to the situation, right? Now you're, is that almost, is like arrogance? I don't know. It's, the identity that you're more important or the way you grew up with it is more important. And then there's another argument that leans to there's just a better word, right? Like you're being unclear. You're like that's actually probably the least important reason why you should change. There's this one thing that there's a story I've heard, and I'm jumping all over the place, but there's a deep history to both the word gay and fag. It comes from relationships towards gay has had it's older. Actually, gay is like about 300-400 years older, I think, or maybe closer to 200 years older in terms of its relationship to sexuality. But I didn't get enough research into finding out how when gay transferred into this like negative stereotype, but it does have a lot of reference to, from what I could pick up, about being a heretic. But faggot has a reference directly to a bundle of sticks, and then whose job it was to collect the bundle of sticks. And at that time, in the 1800s, it was old women, right? And so there's that reference. So the idea that calling a man that you're somehow worse, less of a man for that. So that's emasculating someone. And then there's other reference of in the 1800s when you were burned alive, right? You did this. It was done. People were burned alive for being homosexual, and that's where that derives from. And it's basically the reference of that's how valuable you are. You're worth burning, right? So that's knowing that reference, that's how old these words are, and how there's so much negativity, and it's ancient. It's way older than your experience with the word. The thing to remember is that though your experience is an experience of ignorance, right? Like you didn't grow up knowing that people even did that to each other. That's a Louis C.K. quote. He tried to defend the use of the word gay or faggot, and because you didn't grow up with it that way, what that means is that maybe your parents didn't, but either your parents' parents did or your parents' parents did. At some point in your history, your family knew that being like that people were gay, homosexuality was a thing, and they referenced it negatively, right? It was it was an insult to call someone that, and it was because of that sexuality, right? It wasn't because it was lame or strange or something like that. And so that root alone, that alone, is enough to identify that it does have an oppressive root, right? It does have this place of holding someone down and holding someone back. And then and for me, there's a way more current reason to not use it. And this is for the people who still haven't identified, haven't come out yet. If you're a gamer, an avid gamer, and you are in a community of gamers, and you hear regularly that being like that, oh, why are you being so gay? Oh, that's so gay, or you're being a fag, and like it's all this negativity around these words that as you grow up you will learn to represent your sexuality. How hard will it be to come out to those people? Like what could be the negative impacts on your personality, your sexuality, your independence, just so many life-altering, developing things. And I'm not saying it's not something that someone could overcome, because it is. But do you want to be something somebody has to overcome, right? Like, do you... I say it's funny, interesting. I get the other argument of freedom of speech, and you're right. You do have the freedom to say these things. It's true. And I guess I just feel like I want to be using my freedom of speech on the side of compassion. That's where I want to land. And I feel like the idea that you didn't grow up with it, or the idea that it's not what it meant to you, well, then now you know what it means. And you know what it means to other people. You know there are other words that will better explain what you're saying. And you know there is a chance that what you're doing could influence someone's life in a negative way, that they don't get to experience their own sexuality for a long time. And yeah, it's more negatively impactful than I think people think. And what kills me is that I play Overwatch. That's the most common FPS I play, and they do a really good job of rewarding people for positive language and positive comms. So it's not an extremely toxic game, but still, if I'm not playing with people I know, at least once a day, someone yells that into the comms. They yell it, and they yell it like they mean it. And I stopped. I finished the game, but before I go to the next game, I stop and I talk to them about it, because for me, I don't want to keep playing with people who think that's okay. I understand that this is where you're coming from, and if no one's stopped you and been like, hey, let's check in, and like I've had a couple players, like, this has blown me away, appreciate it. They said, oh, hey, thanks, man, like I can't, and they tell me this story. They're like, I came from a place where that's not how it was used, and it's something it's in my behavior. And he's like, he was thankful for the check, and that was awesome. I was stoked about that. Another guy who he stopped talking, didn't say anything. But later on in the game, I heard him get mad. I heard him, and he was about to say it. He was about to call the guy a fag, and he stopped and he said, fuck it. And it was awesome. Like I'm happy to be a part of that conversation and be a part of someone's struggle for that, because it's not going to be easy, right? You've learned a behavior, you've learned a way to do it. The important thing is to not defend your ignorance, right? Don't defend the idea that you have some claim to that word, or you have some right to that word. Or those words particularly. There's this other one. And this one just, like, I tried to write notes on it, but it blows my mind. I first heard it when I was like 22. And this is in Celebration. And I was playing Magic, and this kid, he was like 14 or 13. He slammed down this big card. He won the game, and he's like, oh, I raped you. And I was just like, ugh, blah. It just... I was young at that point, and I worked with kids, and I just where that relationship was, I was like, I don't feel comfortable telling you what you need to know here. And I didn't even, I hadn't processed it. I didn't know what to say. And I don't know that I still even really know what to say. When I think about this, the idea that people are using the word rape as a form of victory, right? Like, I won, and that, like, and you beat them so bad that this is what you did to them. You know what? I really should have put out trigger warnings on this video. I'm gonna have to do that when I post it, because this is it. It gets me. It gets me that, like, when I hear a man use that word in celebration. I hear someone that's like ignorant to the idea that they are reclaiming a word that they have zero right to. Right, like there is a history of reclaiming words a history of reclaiming words amongst this topic. Like it hits me like I'm tongue tied around it. Sorry, there is a history of reclaiming words amongst cultures that have been oppressed and reusing those words to reshape themselves and redefine and strengthen and take away the power. Right, like that's how that's been done, I think, most commonly. This is like I'm fairly ignorant to the depths of how that's done, but I come from a what do you call it? Like, you know, the most privileged thing. This is going to be common topic here. So I just don't. My culture isn't going to have a lot of words to take back. We've mostly taken the words. We screwed that stuff up. So that's like from either being a man, being white, or being straight. Like I'm not trying to like belittle that. That's just the reality of it. But I think if you're okay, so yeah, let's bring it to an idea of like why is this a negative thing? You don't know who's experienced what. You just don't. You don't know how that's going to hit someone. You don't know if someone's going to relive a moment that they want to forget for the rest of their life because you said one word. And you've used it in such disrespect, right? It's being used in a way that doesn't define the situation. That person is going to be so radically caught off guard by the idea that it's used there that there's no preparation. There's no part of them that is going to be able to necessarily say, I know how to deal with this. And I mean, it's let alone just the negative impacts aside of other people. The idea that word should have any other meaning. I don't know. Maybe I'd love to hear your thoughts on that because it hurts me. It hurts me a lot to hear people talk that way and hear people use these words to define things they're not meant for. There's things they're not meant for, and their failure to acknowledge the amount of power they exert. And I think that's that. So yeah, that's my take on common. Like this is a deep one in online gaming. People using the word gay and fag as a negative, and then rape as a way of victory. You know, I can't condone it. If you see this video and you stream with me, you play games with me when I'm streaming, know that I will stop games at the very moment I can, and I will address that with you because I just can't let it continue. I won't play with people that think it's okay. But I will hear you out. I will absolutely hear out what you have to say about it because I feel like it's easy to walk away, right? Like we can get hurt and get upset, and I'm of the demographic that absolutely should be engaging, right? I'm going to be the least likely to be triggered by these situations in terms of like having to live victimly to like I haven't had I'm the least likely to be victimized by these situations or by these words. Or no, victim. I don't know if victimize is the right word. I don't know if I'm explaining it, but just by being someone that can represent. I don't know what I'm saying here. I feel like by me not being gay, my emotional connection to it may be a little less than someone who is, and they may feel intimidated because they've experienced their own life and their versions of coming out. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off topic. Got some comments. Let's read the comments. I agree. It should never be used in terms of victory. And you're right. It can be a huge trigger for some. Yeah, thanks. That's from Teresa Taylor. I agree. I think I feel like this is like it's such an open and shut concept. Like once I don't know how once you hear these basic points you can go on saying this is the right thing to do. And I'm not saying like what is it? You're a horrible person for doing this, or you're just bad. I feel like it's ignorant and it's inconsiderate. And those are things I know we can do better. Once you know, you can do better. I think we've bred a society pretty hard on ignorance and being inconsiderate. Because once you're aware, you're accountable. That's another video though. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has any other comments or questions, things you want to talk about, any other words or experiences you've had. I'm totally open. Otherwise, this might be a wrap. Have I already gone for 15 minutes? Wow, I've ramble. Yeah, I feel like people kind of, they either just agree. The toughest thing is right now my circle is so deeply connected to people who are already going to agree with me that I'm not necessarily going to reach people that don't agree or don't understand or don't what do you call it? No, that's it. I think that's right. Just don't agree or don't agree. Or haven't heard this before. You know, I have less of those in my sphere than people who just agree. But if you have had this conversation with anyone in your life, please share this video. If there's any points I have failed to make that you can think of, please absolutely let me know. I would do a recap because it's worth it. Yeah, this video is just it hits me at home because like I play games every day, and like I said, if I'm not playing with people I know every day, then it happens every day. There was one game that just I got hit with the triple whammy. Like it shook me. This guy said, "Fuck that fucking gay faggot." Was it? And then he beat him later, and then he said he raped him, and I just was like it hurt my head in my it was all of it, and it's hard to say it back, but I think it's important. Yeah, and if you know anybody who's gaming and they don't have conversations with people, I think that's the other thing we need to do. We need to, like, if you agree with this, it's part of your job. And people are going to call you names. People are going to defend their ignorance. It's too important, right? I think I honestly, I would love to congratulate or thank Blizzards because they've done a really, really good job of creating systems in their game that promote positive language and positive communication. They've done these things where they do endorsements, and it's funny, ever since endorsements, I'm not kidding, it happens radically less. When endorsements weren't there, it was like multiple times a day, like there'd be floods of it. And then before I started streaming, it was what do you call it? I didn't feel like I knew. I guess I didn't have a stance as hard. I hadn't found it within me, and I also didn't have a voice. I would play the game and then I would stop playing with them. I hadn't. I think there was a time in me where I didn't have the energy or strength. And if you don't, I understand. That's it's not an easy conversation, and yeah, a lot of people who feel like they can say these things, they feel they have this energy or zest to defend it, right? Like they come enraged or angry if you try to get at it. So I get it. I understand. But I intend to no longer be that person, and I hope you do the same and do whatever you can to stop this. And now I'm rambling because that's what I do at the end of my videos. I guess so. Yeah, as this being a wrap, I'm gonna say, as always, everything that we make goes into the Robin's Hood project. I get paid from there, and hopefully we get to do the random giveaway very soon. I don't know when soon is, but you know, we're praying here. But yeah, if you're interested, please register, check out the website. I have links down below. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thanks a lot. Please like and share the videos, because liking and sharing does all the things for everybody. I don't know. It's important, apparently. That's how I get paid. And that's how payment happens in the world for us. It's still rambling because I haven't made a good close yet. I gotta make a good wrap-up close so that way you guys know when I'm ending. But I think it's now. Yeah, it's probably right now. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And I will talk to you guys later. Oh, as always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Oh, I guess before, oh, jeez. I'm also going to move right into, oh, what is it? The game I'm playing. Amnesia: The Dark Descent Part 5. I thought I was going to be close to done, but I'm apparently only like halfway through. So yeah, I'm going to be starting that pretty quick here. I'm just going to have to do the upload, read and label this, and get everything set. So yeah. But yeah, I thank you, everybody, and I hope to see you guys there. I think the latest I will start is 7:30, but I think I might be able to get to there a little sooner. I'll let you know. Bye.